All the kind of basics, the stuff that if you've been in print for quite some time that you need to have a think about, the ways of reducing cost, and then looking at the ways of increasing the value of print, because I think by common consent, print is not going anywhere, but it is part of an integrated marketing, a hybrid marketing of online and offline. And so rather like the investment that you're making on all the social media sites and all of the kind of data services that you've got, and of course the service that you offer your clients, re-looking at print rather than it being a cost out type thing to try and just trim costs, we're looking at the value inside of it as well. So moving on swiftly into it, it's the inside story of, well, we've got 7, but I mean there's loads. So just kind of like take them all down. You can download it off a website. There's a link at the end, so you can either assiduously scribble and not be able to read it at the other end, at the other side of the presentation, or simply download it and of course ask questions at the end. I understand you're really, really quiet. So if you don't ask a question, I'm going to pick on somebody. So please feel free to ask questions with alacrity towards the end. Righty-ho. So very quick kind of positioning statement, I think they call it. This is Webmart. We are a print management company, come out of the printing industry, and so we absolutely love print. There are just under 50 people, and we have in total 688 years of print experience, and yes, we do measure everything. And we have a huge amount of expertise over the wide gamut that is printing, because obviously, as you'd imagine, our online estimating does 380 million prices instantly for different formats and stuff, but there are billions of different prices. So we have 380 suppliers. Each key, if you like, category that we sell, from point of sale through to direct mail through to the has specialists within it. And I'll show you one of them later, Young Prad, who's a fantastic bloke. So we've got 3 offices: Barnsley, my hometown. I'm very proud of my Barnsley tradition. Bicester, near the shopping centre, for anybody who wants to come to the Yellow Shed of Wonderment to have an experience of our idiosyncratic world, and East Kilbride, because Scottish people like to buy off Scottish people. No other reason. And there's some very nice people up there who know a lot about print as well. So, moving on. God help me, my brother did this, and he does it out of spite, this presentation. That's me when I first started Webmart. Still vestiges of the corporate world inside me. We've been going 17 years now, and no, it doesn't feel it too much. I've been in the print industry since Maxwell, if any of you are old enough to understand that nasty person. Maxwell brought me into the industry, and for that I'm eternally grateful. So I've been doing it for 25 years, and we do a whole range of things. We also develop our own software to project manage and to procure all around the world. And we've won lots of awards, one of which being the Institute Directors Awards. So we do it in an innovative way, I think it's fair to say, completely contrarian to everybody else in the print management marketplace. So what I'm going to be banging on about here. The basics of cost avoidance, obviously it's very important to make sure that you don't waste money, but then looking slightly more creatively at ways you can spend more money on print. And of course the only way you'd spend more money on print is if you get a disproportionate return on that investment. So then we move into there, and then other stuff, with different ways to reach your core customers, bit of creativity, bit of lateral thinking going on in the way that you approach your print spend and your marketing comms, and then the latest print marketing techniques. And I've only got a little period of time, so I shall wham straight through it. So back to basics. Obviously, I don't know if you have any brand guidelines, but if you have, give them to your printers. It's a bit of 101, but most people don't. I've had them in my entire life 3 times, proactively given to me. And you've got another set of eyes, people looking at you, and they won't bugger up your brand if they know what you want it to look like. So if you have got anything that you would share with any other agency, please share it with your printers as well, and they can give you the opportunity to not have things going wrong straight away. Is it fit for purpose? Obviously, the pre-question to that is, what do you want to do with it? So have a think about what you're trying to, if you like, the persona. Think of it as a living sentinel being. What is the persona of this piece of print that you're doing? Because it does touch quite a lot of senses, does print. And so just have a visualisation of it and think about it. Get it dummied up. I mean, you see it, you've all got your Gould paper, and they'll hate me forever for suggesting it, but they do a dummy service. And so if you want to come up with a few ideas or whatever, just play around with a few formats before you actually go into manufacturing it. And the customer values, again, a very important part. Print is different from your online. it gives you much greater latitude to have a perception of your marketplace, your position in that marketplace. So make sure that it's consistent and make sure that it really does live your brand. Again, one of the things that many people do, and this is from the very largest companies, and this isn't, in mail order exclusively, far from it, is that they have a plethora of formats for no bleeding reason whatsoever, and it costs money. So if you can keep, if there is a reason to have different formats or different sectors that you're trying to do, then happy days, because there'll be a return on investment reason. If there isn't, then do look at ways that you can kind of bring it together to eliminate unnecessary waste, because make-readies on a press don't give you any customers and any revenue. And so if you can reduce them or eliminate them, then it will make an awful lot of sense. It's a kind of straightforward cost avoidance thing. Obviously, paper is a massive part of the overall cost of print. So if it is an innovative kind of part of the marketplace is paper, and it does come up with new finishes and what have you. And either you can get them direct from paper people or through your printer or through your print management company. And if there's areas that you want to improve on your paper, then proactively say, look, when something like this comes up, please bring it to me. And then you've got somebody looking on your behalf that doesn't cost you money to come up with the new way of doing things. Quite often, I don't know if anybody saw The Apprentice yesterday, God help me, but it's the worst programme in the entire TV listings. But the agency that was there, Karma Rama, I did a speech at yesterday, and they charge a stupid amount of money for consultancy. Very nice people. But I said, we in the print industry and the print management industry are the dobbies of the consulting world. We're ever so humble, we just like to be asked. Just ask, we don't charge you. We don't even charge you for it. Just ask us for any advice. You don't have to go to these big, expensive London agencies to get creative ideas. Everybody downstream of you in the print industry is desperate to try and help you out, and they'll do it for free. So why not give it your best? And so is the spec right? That's just a list, and the reason that list is there because of obviously you may want to download it later. But size, pagination, paperweight. Paper finishes, quite a lot of time people just stick with the same paper that they've done forever for no particular reason. There's lots of different types of paper. Again, it's perception. Print used to be the lowest cost medium, the lowest cost way of getting to your customers. Of course, it'll never be that again. It is now a premium product. It's a premium way of getting your brand into people. It's, as I'll show later, how you can make it even more of an important product for your customers. But even with a conventional print job, you can change things to give a higher perceived value because people are looking for that in the print. And then there's all sorts of new different types of finishing. We did one for a bicycle manufacturer which had a rubber grip finish on it. It really did have that kind of perception, a different feel to it, and they got much better customer feedback from it by looking at that. And there are lots of people out there that can advise you on that. So, what we're going to talk about now is choosing your perfect print partner. And we are all unusual people, aren't we? Let's be honest, we are of our own idiosyncrasies. But it's getting the alignment between your idiosyncrasies and the person who provides the print to you. That's the most important thing. And broadly, there are two types of print provider. There are unashamedly printers who enjoy doing that. And if you've got a print requirement which is quite narrow and repeats frequently, then the chances are that you don't need anything other than to make sure that you've got the right fit and the right capability and capacity and stuff like that, and deal with printers. If, however, you need a broad range of print and through a variety of different things, then there are a variety of print service providers out there, from print managers to advertising agencies to a number of different guises. But the key thing that everybody has to do, once you've understood what you want, which is obviously number one, and you've got the right specification, which we've run through, is find the right press at the right time. Because the average range of prices you will get back, if you don't know anything about print, is huge. There was one survey done by the Swiss Print Federation of inexperienced buyers. The average range of prices they got from one specification going out to their printers that they used was 200%. We within Webmart, even if we're experts, we get an average range of prices of 48%. Huge diversity. And it's not because people are trying to rip you off and all that kind of stuff. It's simply because it changes rapidly every minute of every day. It's a commodity market. to the broad, if you want to think of it in the same way. And so you need to make sure that you have the relationship there, or of course get somebody who does it as a job, but to find the right press at the right time, really critical stuff. And of course with the changes in the marketplace, I mean, it's gone down from 13,000 printers to 9,000 printers now, and it's probably going to settle down about 5,000 printers in the UK, so there's a lot of shakeout going on there. And then decide whether you want to plan it or spot buy. There are different advantages to either. And then location, obviously you can send on an FTP or a Mailbig file anywhere in the world without any problem these days. Obviously logistics, getting back, it's quite heavy and what have you, but you've now got a range of different options that you can look at. You don't have to go within a local geographical area, despite the fact that most people who don't have print as a core part of their offer generally do. This is one of the things that we're moving on to now. This has gone out of the kind of cost outside of it into the cost inside of it. And the reason that you go cost inside, if you remember, when I set up Webmart in 1996, I am now seen as a guru of insight because I called the company Webmart, because clearly it's to do with a web offset market, a web marketplace, internet marketplace. Well, obviously in those days, it was actually somewhere in California. And for those of you who are obviously web natives now, you can't imagine a time without the internet. But it was, for me, it's a web offset marketplace, the type of printing, high volume magazine catalogue type thing. We've now got a similar kind of thing going on with something called big data. Now, big data is this kind of ethereal beast that everybody's talking about, but nobody actually knows quite what to do with it and what it's about. But as a person, each one of you in this room are creating enough data, just bits and bytes, without touching any bit of your computers that you actually do yourself. You're creating half a CD's worth of data every day. That data is about geodata, it's about what your usage of utilities, it's about all these things, because there's this Internet of Things out there that are capturing data about you, which can be repurposed and reused. Just as a kind of slight tangent, and every time a Boeing 747 sets off, there is around about a terabyte of data created on that flight for it. There's huge amounts of data going on in the background. Now that can be used to your benefit in the print side as well. That is a press. That press there is effectively like a web offset printing press. But what that does is print 1.5 million personalised pages per hour of full colour variable data. An hour. Well, you imagine how many servers need to feed that beastie every hour, every day, and it can be done. Now, if you remember back, again, those who have been around a while, Viking did a variable data thing a few years ago. You think of Tesco's before the club card came about. I mean, if you don't like it now, it was really bad then, but now at least it's successful and bad, rather than one of those kind of companies that have gone by, the quick saves of the world that have disappeared. Now, leveraging data in your marketplace will give you a comparative advantage. Has to, because you've got a more relevant kind of offer than other people can do. We've got a couple of examples later on of what we've tried. And this is the personalised case study, which my friend at the back here is going to press. What the first one is for the printer.
Graphics recently partnered with Webmart to produce 5,000 personalised catalogue covers for crag hoppers. We were asked to take 8 data cells and produce a fully variable cover that would then be used to perfect bind onto the inners that had been produced sheet fed for the main catalogue run. We were supplied with 8 data cells. Those 8 data cells were then merged with a piece of software called VIPP. Basically what we do is we put a tag in each database, merge all of the data together, and then that tag drives the variable content when it comes to printing the job. What it also means is we can get mailing discounts for the client by merging all of the databases together and mail sorting so that we get the best mailing price. What we ended up with on this particular job was VIP customers and VIP lapsed customers. Each of those was then split down into 4 groups. The first group being men's outdoors, and this creative that you can see here was the men's outdoors. The main thing that changes is the front cover image, as well as the recipient's name being printed onto the front cover. Some variable components on the inside, and that was mainly the letter text. However, using this kind of data-driven process, we can have as many variable components within a product as you want. The job was produced very, very quickly. We got the spec from the Webmart guys on the 19th of March. The job was proofed same day, all of the data was merged, we printed it on the 20th and shipped it out to the company that were doing the binding on the 20th. So all in all, it was produced very, very quickly. The job was produced on Xerox iGen 3 technology, but could go on to any digital print engine as long as the front-end software is in place to do the merge. It was printed on a 140 gram uncoded and obviously then sent on to be perfect bound. We do lots and lots of this kind of work, and obviously the key driver to produce this kind of thing is to make the cover stand out to the recipients so that they're more likely to log into the website and redeem any offers that you may be making with the covers. This is probably the simplest form of personalisation. As I said earlier, there's a huge amount more could be done with it. So for instance, this offer on the back page is static at the moment. That could be fully variable, pulling in multiple products from their product range.
So of course, the only reason that you'd go through all that hassle and grief and putting together a complex campaign like that and investing the money in it to do that is to get a better response. So the next slide is the client that we did it for, Crag Hoppers, and telling us about the response that she got from that. So there's another brief video for that. Thank you.
At Crag Hoppers, we needed a way of increasing our response rates on our catalogue. So we decided to do personalised covers. The personalised covers we did were across men's and women's. We did 4 covers based on purchasing habits. So they were targeted to specific segments on the database. The personalised covers have worked really well for Crag Hoppers and were received really well by the customer. We would definitely do personalised covers again, and we're thinking of rolling it out for autumn winter across some other pieces of the catalogues, maybe smaller print runs to our VIP customers. Our catalogues tend to sit around on the coffee table because they're large catalogues with a lot of content, so they last for about 6 weeks. People go back and refer to them and use them to browse while they might be having a cup of tea. And then we still get orders 6 weeks later from the catalogues. So people are really enjoying looking at them as a travel book as well as a catalogue with product in. We target offers with our catalogues and we segment the data with specific buying habits. So we might target people that have ordered travel wear through the catalogues, and then they can go online and order a bundle offer. Part of the personalisation project that we've done, we've also put a pearl on the back of the catalogue, which is personalised to that person. They can then go online, they have dynamic content that comes in to the pearl based on previous buying habits, and this is trying to encourage them to order based on what they've ordered in previous years from us. This content changes every time they go into the pearl, and if they purchase it will change again based on their buying behaviour. Personalised covers have increased our response rates by 50% across the segment that we use them on. We've had up to 15% response rate on the personalised catalogues, which is fantastic compared to our normal response rates on a main season book. So we're really pleased with the project, and we'll definitely be rolling it out for autumn winter.
Lovely. And then you see, it's rare for a customer to share that kind of data with you, but and it's important that you understand clearly what you were going in for and the buying behaviours that you were trying to get out to your customer, and understanding the segmentation of your database and all of the kind of things that she outlined in there. But the opportunity from this is really taking print to the next level, away from dumb print of the same stuff going out to everybody and just personalise the address, to smart print, where you use, if you like, dynamically created content to bespoke the offer to the customer's needs. And it's a possibility now that is a cost-effective possibility. Now, usually, rather like what they're doing, they personalise the outer and keep the economies of scale in the text section in the centre, which is obviously a very expensive part. You wouldn't want to personalise 96 pages of it. You wouldn't have the kind of desired effect, and it would cost an inordinate amount of time, of money and time to print. But taking it to the next level is understanding your customer base better than ever before and leveraging it and using the technology that is now out there. That press wasn't available 18 months ago. This is all brand new technology that's out there, and so print, far from being a dying art, it is an absolutely key part of an ongoing interaction that you've got with your customer base. But it's a very different type of print than the traditional, directory kind of nonsense that you used to get in mail order all those years ago that worked at the time, but obviously customers have moved beyond, didn't serve you. There's another example where Fitness First wanted to make the getting to the gym and getting back from the gym an interactive part of their gym experience. So what they did was they worked out where you lived and where the nearest Fitness First was, and then worked out how many calories you burn either cycling or running to it and back from it, and working out how you could make it an actual, an interesting part, and also worked out the safest route that you could go on. So it worked it all out for you, and they sent that through as a mailer, and then they ended up with, again, another 50% give or take rise in response rate to that. It's a really interesting kind of dynamic that you've got going on there. But of course, you need to be you need to be leading on this. Because if you're not leading on this, then it gets commoditized very, very quickly. So you need to look at how you can, in your marketplace, your segment or whatever, to make sure that you use innovation as quickly as possible. Another example, that's the point I'm making. Another example is where the Royal Mail wanted people to use the post boxes more in their local facilities, so they put it on a piece of mailing that went through, or where your local post box is. Quite a lot of people actually retained that piece of print and stuck it on their notice board they have at home, so they know where the nearest one is on their way to wherever they're going. And that had a 176% uplift in the amount of letters that went into the letterbox in that area. So they can obviously measure before and after on that, because it's the same people living there. So 176% uplift in use of their facilities over there. And then another way of doing it is piggybacking together multiple offers on the same piece of personalised print. So you've got one view of the customer in here, but you've got three different people sharing the cost of that and having a complementary way of getting leveraging their customer base. By doing that, why would somebody go past the B&Q to get to home base? Well, they've got an offer here which would make them take that little bit extra drive to get to home base, because they get an extra 1,000 nectar points, because obviously they know they're a nectar collector. So you can keep them together. That keeps the cost down, but in fact enhances the response rate that you can. So it's one of the things we kind of cite at the end is about collaboration. It's a good thing, not a bad thing. And this is just one of the ideas that we've got, where you have something like an Amazon locker, and you can point people to it. They may not know where it is, and so when you drop off things, and also on the returns, you've got a single point of contact for people to be able to look at ways of interacting with them in a much more creative way to make the mail order buying experience as pain-free as possible for people. We're all right for time. I'll just give 1 minute. Right, this is 1 broadband. It tells you when the person next to you has got faster broadband than you. It knows you do 2 megs, and these have got 20. So you all get this kind of envy, this download envy that you did, and that drove the response. And I'm mindful of that. Mailing and postage. This is where Prad comes into it. Loads of stuff on mailing and postage. We've got 1 minute. I'm going to have to kind of do. But it changes, rather like print. It changes so many times. There are lots of providers and there's lots of offers, and so we've got our own specialist who does nothing but look at all of these things. Young Prad there, who I would zoom in to, but I can't under this with this 2-button thingy here. But these are all the areas that you need to look at, and of course it ties back into the initial spec. There's no point having all these clever savings of advertising mail and sustainable mail and all that stuff, and then your spec isn't right at the back end. You go, we could have saved a fortune on that. So in summary, you'll be relieved to hear. We'll get the basics right, find the right print partner, whatever shape or look that is for you, and then match the job to the right distribution, and that's a closed loop all the way through. And then as you get the basics right, drive up the return on investment that you can get by using data. The data you already hold, just in a more creative way than you've done before. That's the checklist, and thank you.